After years of delays, setbacks, and one of the most stressful development cycles in modern animation history, Sony just dropped a massive wave of updates on Beyond the Spider-Verse, and what they revealed changed everything we thought we knew about this movie. We're talking about insiders like Sony animation presidents finally updating us, official production updates, a response to those brutal animation crunch allegations. But that's not even the craziest part, because we also have to talk about the Ben Reilly identity twist in Spider-Noir that could directly impact Beyond the Spider-Verse, Caleb McLaughlin openly campaigning to play live-action Miles Morales, and even more crazy news later. But first up, Sony has finally confirmed that Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse is officially in its animation phase. This confirmation came directly from the top. Sony Pictures animation presidents Christine Belson and Damien de Froberville sat down with The Hollywood Reporter in a major new interview and dropped some seriously encouraging updates about where this movie stands right now in early 2026. Guys, de Froberville didn't hold back when talking about what he's seen so far, saying, quote, "On Spider-Verse, I was like, how are they gonna top Across the Spider-Verse? And then we're looking at art and design for Beyond the Spider-Verse, and it's really blowing my mind. We look at a lot of art, but what we saw at the last presentation, I'm like, wow," end quote. That's coming from the president of the animation studio, the person literally running the entire Sony Pictures animation operation. That should tell you something about the level of ambition we're dealing with here. Now remember guys, this movie was originally supposed to come out in March of 2024. That date came and went with no announcement, then it shifted to 2025, then 2026 was briefly floated, and now it's officially locked in for June 18, 2027. But the fact that they're now in active animation means the story is locked, and the finish line is finally in sight for the first time since this whole saga began. Let me know what you think about this. But here's where the new updates get really interesting, and this is genuinely a game changer for the entire franchise. For the first time in Spider-Verse history, Sony has brought on a live-action director of photography to work on the animated film. Her name is Alice Brooks. She's the cinematographer Massive Productions known for their fluid, dynamic camera movement and absolutely gorgeous visual storytelling. Speaking of live action, we might have a live-action Spider-Man joining us soon, which we will talk about later. But moving on, de Froberville explained this decision in detail, saying, quote, "We made some changes to the pipeline to not avoid because Chris and Phil are always going to iterate late, but to lessen the amount of iteration on the back end. We brought on a live-action DP, Alice Brooks. She's been directing camera in a way that we hadn't done on Spider-Verse before. We're in animation on Spider-Verse now, because the directors and Chris and Phil have a chance to iterate so much early on while we're in story, and truly visualize what it's going to look like by the time those sequences flow into the ImageWorks pipeline. There's way less changes," end quote. What this update means in plain terms is that Brooks is essentially choreographing how the virtual camera moves through animated sequences the same way she'd operate a physical camera on a live-action set. Instead of figuring out camera angles and movements late in production when animated shots are already being rendered, Brooks is locking that down up front during the story phase. The first two Spider-Verse films were visually revolutionary and changed animation forever, but those groundbreaking visuals came at a serious human cost, and that brings us to one of the most controversial parts of this entire story. Guys, if you followed the production of Across the Spider-Verse at all, you know it was not pretty behind the scenes. Vulture published a bombshell report revealing that over 100 artists, animators, modelers, designers, and production staff quit during production due to harsh working conditions. So when The Hollywood Reporter asked Belson directly if Beyond the Spider-Verse was going to put animators through the same kind of strain, her response raised a lot of eyebrows. She said, quote, "Nobody has to work on a show they don't want to work on. Even though you'll hear, whether it's Spider-Verse or other shows, that people go through these really difficult crunch times, everybody wants to be on the most ambitious and most exciting shows." Now that answer is already generating significant backlash across the animation community online, because I think telling people they voluntarily choose to work there isn't exactly addressing the systemic issues that caused over 100 people to walk off the last production. However, de Froberville did follow up by pointing to the concrete pipeline changes they've made. Now here's something a lot of people don't realize about the delays. Phil Lord and Chris Miller have been splitting their time between Beyond the Spider-Verse and another massive Hollywood project, Project Hail Mary, which they directed and which was shot in late 2024. That movie is hitting theaters very soon, and it's naturally raised concerns about how much focused attention they've actually been giving to Beyond. De Froberville addressed this directly in the interview, explaining that Lord and Miller have been physically setting up their editing stations right in the courtyard near the Spider-Verse production offices, so they could stay plugged into both projects simultaneously. But here's the critical detail. In late 2024, Lord and Miller officially stepped back from directing Beyond the Spider-Verse and handed the reins to Bob Persichetti and Justin K. Thompson. For those who don't know, Persichetti co-directed the original Into the Spider-Verse and Thompson co-directed Across the Spider-Verse, so this movie is in incredibly capable hands. Recent reports confirm Lord and Miller remain on board as writers and producers, still giving notes, feedback, and creative oversight, but the day-to-day directing is now being handled by filmmakers who know this universe inside and out, And honestly, this might actually be the best case scenario. You've got the original creators still guiding the overall vision, while two directors who each helmed one of the previous entries bring their own complementary expertise. That's a genuine dream team if I've ever seen one. But let me know what you think. But these news that we have talked about aren't even the craziest and biggest news we have. We have even more crazy news, but this one is absolutely huge. Sony has officially confirmed that two new animated Spider-Verse spin-off projects are in active development right now. We're talking about a Spider-Punk solo movie and a Spider-Gwen solo movie. Now, rumors about both of these projects have been floating around for months. When asked about these projects during the Hollywood Reporter interview, Belson said she's not allowed to confirm specific writers, but she did say, quote, "We are active on both." That's as close to an official green light as you're going to get without a full theatrical press announcement. Guys, it looks like the Spider-Verse isn't ending with Beyond, it's expanding into an entire animated universe. Are you more hyped for a Spider-Punk movie or a Spider-Gwen solo film? Let me know in the comments. And yes, there's a twist coming you probably didn't expect, because we need to talk about Spider-Noir and how it connects to Beyond the Spider-Verse. Nicolas Cage voiced Spider-Man Noir in Into the Spider-Verse, identifying himself as Peter Parker in a black and white 1930s dimension. But in the upcoming live-action Spider-Noir series for Amazon Prime Video, it's been officially revealed that Cage is not playing Peter Parker, he's playing Ben Reilly. Now here's where it directly connects to Beyond the Spider-Verse. Andy Samberg voiced the Scarlet Spider, who is also Ben Reilly, in Across the Spider-Verse. When asked about his return for Beyond in a recent interview, Samberg said he, quote, "truly knows nothing about whether he'd be back, but expressed, quote, hope that I have more in the next one." End quote. Considering Scarlet Spider was a key Spider Society member who confronted Miles and was last seen being thrown through a portal by Gwen, there's a strong chance he returns for the grand finale. And with two completely different versions of Ben Reilly now existing across the animated and live-action Spider-Verse universes, the potential for some kind of multiverse connection is staggering. Now let's talk about one of the biggest buzzing topics in the entire Spider-Man world right now, Caleb McLaughlin and live-action Miles Morales. The Stranger Things star absolutely broke the internet when he posted videos of himself doing impressively clean Spider-Man-level flips and gymnastics on social media. Fans immediately speculated he was secretly auditioning for the role of Miles in a future live-action project. McLaughlin addressed this directly in an interview with E! News, clarifying that the flips were just a hobby he picked up with friends, not a secret audition tape or a soft campaign for the role. But he also made it crystal clear that he wants it. At the premiere of his new animated film GOAT, he told Variety, quote, "I would love to play Miles. I think Miles represents something bigger than myself, bigger than most people. Also being from New York and seeing the Spider-Verse story, it's really connected with me." End quote. What makes this even juicier is that Sony themselves appeared to tease the McLaughlin casting rumors in a new promotional video they released, which has fans absolutely convinced something is happening behind the scenes that nobody is ready to announce yet. Meanwhile, Tom Holland has previously suggested he might eventually pass the Spider-Man baton to a younger actor playing Miles Morales. And with Spider-Man Brand New Day hitting theaters this July, the groundwork for that transition could already be being laid. Let me know what you think about this. With Beyond the Spider-Verse now officially in animation, a live-action DP revolutionizing the camera work, two new spin-offs confirmed, and the entire Spider-Man universe expanding across animation, live-action, and streaming all at the same time, this is without question the most exciting era for Spider-Man fans in years. The wait until June 2027 is going to be tough, but everything we're hearing from the people actually making this movie suggests the finale will be worth every single second of that wait. I am Brian from Cinema Surge, and I will be bringing you every single update on Beyond the Spider-Verse and the entire Spider-Man universe the moment it drops.